Hello and welcome to the Consider This channel. Consider This is a free to subscribe to channel where we look at the world's oldest questions, and by using all data to hand, we offer evidence to a realistic conclusion. Whether you use this channel to support your own studies or simply listen to it while hoovering, all are welcome. This is Chapter 8 of Evidence of Soul. If you have not yet watched the earlier chapters, may I suggest you do. Now, let's get into it. Evidence of Soul by Sharon Patrice. Chapter 8. In the beginning. Depending on whether one looks through the prism of the socially acceptable Big Bang theory or some other theory on the creation of the universe, we can all agree the earth and all things upon it is made up of the same matter and energy, readily available throughout the universe. As humans develop more sophisticated tools and techniques for observing our universe, scientists studying astrophysics will continue to push the barriers of human understanding forward. Each day we receive feedback and pictures from the newly launched James Webb Space Telescope, our largest optical telescope in space to date. Launched in 2021, it's equipped with high-resolution and high-sensitivity instruments, the greatest so far in human development, allowing it to view and send back detailed images of physical objects too old or too far in the distance for the slightly older Hubble Space Telescope. The files beamed back to Earth are phenomenal, with some images being out of the realms of human understanding, and dictate a change in theory away from what we thought we knew into the realms of the unknown, bringing accepted theories such as Einstein's theory of relativity into debate and much head-scratching. But wait, what does this have to do with the soul? Well, working on the theory, the soul is a natural phenomenon as is life, we need to first look at what created life on Earth. Planet Earth is composed of 4 main layers. A central inner core which is enclosed by the outer core, which is itself enveloped by the mantle, and finally a layer known as the crust. The inner core is a solid mass of iron and nickel and other metals such as gold, platinum and cobalt with a temperature as high as 9,800 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 5,400 degrees Celsius. Despite the physical heat properties of the inner core, it is rendered into a solid mass, owing to the vast pressure of the surrounding layers. It is this inner core that is responsible for creating the Earth's magnetic field. Encompassing the inner core is the outer core, which is fluid and also made of iron and nickel but mixed with lighter elements such as oxygen, sulfur, and carbon. The temperature of this outer core comes in at around 7,600 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 4,200 degrees Celsius. The outer core also attributes to the inner core's magnetic field as it flows around with an electric current. In between the outer core and crust is the mantle, the thickest layer. This hot, glutinous mixture of liquid rock is what we see exploding and spewing from volcanoes all over our world. The outermost layer, Earth's crust, is made up of land mass, caused by the cooling of the liquid rock thrown up from the mantle via volcanoes and water, also known as H2O. H2O is fundamentally important to live. Without water there is no life. The first appearance of water on Earth is open to debate with numerous scientific people, declaring water did not originate on Earth. In other words, it was not part of the original makeup of our planet. Instead, it was proposed water must have been delivered to Earth, from somewhere in the outer solar system, by impacts from icy planetesimals, more readily known as comets, which contain chemical compounds that vaporize when heated, such as water. This theory always sounded a bit hit and miss to me, because if watery comets hit our Earth and unloaded their watery bounty, there must have been other planetesimals hitting numerous other planets, not just ours. It is understood that the universe is made up of the same elements, so where did the comets get their water from? Water that was not readily available to Earth? And also, why did that water not evaporate when hurling through the Earth's atmosphere? What is more, many scientists invested in this theory also believe the fundamental elements of life itself was deposited within that water. Now, depending on your own thinking on this subject, we have 4 paths of reasoning to follow. 1. The first is the path that leads toward the belief water came to planet Earth via one or numerous comets. 2. The second leads us to water came to planet Earth via a comet and brought with it the very seeds of life. A little like Pathway 1, but with an added twist. 3. The third pathway, and to be honest my own favorite, is water is a fundamental part of the makeup of planet Earth and was a part of Earth's make from the very start. 4. The fourth I add solely for the benefits of my space cadet friends, past and present. Aliens came down and populated or changed, in some way, the DNA of Homo sapiens. It was an experiment, or it was a way to create slaves for those we perceived as gods who made us work tirelessly for them. The main stumbling point to the fourth path is DNA. As we are aware, DNA is apparent in all living things on Earth, and comes from an original life form, so whether or not aliens came to Earth and interfered with DNA, there must have been life on Earth in the first instance for that DNA to be interfered with. Getting back to reality and looking into the first path we might walk down, a belief: water came to planet Earth via a comet. Many of us have seen images sent back to planet Earth from early satellite and telescopes showing comets with long ice tails. We do acknowledge that asteroids and comets have, from time to time, crashed into our planet. Did they deposit water on what would have to have been our planet's cold crust? Some believe so. However, when a comet enters Earth's atmosphere, it is subjected to elevated temperatures and pressures, causing the ice to vaporize and the gas and dust particles making up its tail to ionize and form plasma. This plasma interacts with the Earth's magnetic field, creating a glowing trail of light that can be seen from the ground. So, we may conclude water could not have been deposited on planet Earth from comets. Reasoning on the second path. All the above from path 1 applies, with the added question of, could the seeds of life survived not only the vaporizing heat through the Earth's atmosphere, but also the crash? If they did survive, like a plant seed flying through the air and landing on good soil, where did those building blocks originally come from, and did they bring the souls of those building blocks with them? Or did the soul enter the life form later in time? A comet may be seen in the sky as a large ball followed by a long streaming gas-like tail attached to its rear. The nucleus of a comet is the solid, central part, formerly termed dirty snowball or icy dirt ball. It's believed comets usually have an extremely wide range of orbital periods, ranging from several years to possibly millions of years. Short-period comets appear to originate from within the Kuiper Belt, a circumstellar disk in the outer solar system, extending from the orbit of Neptune. It's similar to the asteroid belt, made up of asteroids and other such physical matter, mostly found near the planets Mars and Jupiter. Some comets then visit Earth's orbit via a larger celestial orbit or get thrown out to the outer solar system by gravitational forces. Occasionally they can be seen from Earth. Long-period comets are thought to originate in the Oort cloud, a spherical cloud of icy bodies extending from outside the Kuiper. As we know, some believe life may have been brought to our planet via a comet. As we are aware, all life needs water, but in my humble opinion, if the first life form survived in space by being protected within its icy capsule, as it flew through the heavens, then why is it that life in any shape or form is so rare in the parts of our planet that is made inhabitable by ice? Surely life would thrive on and in ice? But it does not. The third path. Recent investigations indicates that hydrogen inside the Earth played a role in the formation of the ocean. Here's the science bit. Hydrogen is a chemical element with the symbol H and atomic number 1. Hydrogen is the lightest element and a gas. Oxygen gas is 2 oxygen atoms bonded together, O2. Water is 1 oxygen atom bonded to 2 different hydrogen atoms, H2O. When atoms are bonded together, H2, O2, H2O, etc., we call the total structure a molecule. For fundamental states of matter. There are 4 fundamental states of matter: liquid, solid, gas, and plasma. Imagine a glass of water in its natural state. This is its liquid form. If we introduce that liquid water to an extremely low temperature, it becomes ice, its solid state. Now introduce a heat level and that water will evaporate into steam, which is its gas state of matter. so that glass of water can become one of any states of matter depending on temperature. The fourth state is also a gas, but with the presence of charged particles in any combination of ions or electrons. The fourth state of matter is known as plasma and is the most plentiful form of ordinary matter within our universe, mostly associated with stars, including our Sun, and is reckoned to account for up to 95% or more of our universe. Geological evidence also helps limit the period for water existing on Earth. An example of pillow basalt, a type of rock formed during an underwater eruption, was recovered from the Isua Greenstone Belt in southwestern Greenland. This belt contains variably metamorphosed mafic volcanic and sedimentary rocks and is the largest exposure of Eoarchean supercrustal rocks on Earth from around 3.7 and 3.8 billion years ago. It provides us with evidence that water existed on Earth 3.8 billion years ago. What caused life on Earth? Now, that's a question that reels in several deafening, highly inflammable debates, for without life there would be no body for the soul to inhabit. One school of thought held by some is one or many living cells arrived on Earth from space via the cosmic wind, a little like a dandelion seed floating through the air having hitched a ride on the breeze. This interplanetary life form that supposedly landed on our planet grew strong and thrived. It reproduced and started all earthly life-bearing creatures. I like this hypothesis, it's romantic and fairy tale-like. Unfortunately, that is as far as it goes. There are too many layers where it makes no sense at all. I will give you a couple of examples. 1. If the intergalactic seed floated down to planet Earth and somehow managed to get through the atmosphere, liked what it found and reproduced to populate the entire planet. It would mean that life form, that came from wherever, must have been a single-cell organism, obviously, as that was the first life form found on Earth. Here's the thing, all life on Earth carries DNA. According to, did life come from another world? The expanses of interplanetary space are not the forbidding barrier they once seemed. Over the past 20 years, scientists have determined that more than 30 meteorites found on Earth originally came from the Martian crust, based on the composition of gases trapped within some of the rocks. Meanwhile, biologists have discovered organisms durable enough to survive at least a short journey inside such meteorites. Although no one is suggesting that these particular organisms made the trip, they serve as a proof of principle. Some scientists doubt the early formation of Earth had a wide enough variety of chemicals to build the compound structures of life. Comets, however, are a rich source of organic material. As reported on the BBC online site BBC Teach, no author's name attributed. Comets' cores are made of simple chemicals like carbon dioxide and methanol, a type of alcohol. 16 different organic molecules were discovered by scientists working on the Rosetta experiment, a project that landed a probe onto Comet 67P in 2014. These molecules would have been vital for creating the first amino acids, nucleobases, and sugars. NASA scientists found a fully formed amino acid called glycine in the dust of another comet called Wild 2. It's possible that comets brought their rich range of organic material to Earth during a period of heavy collisions called the Late Heavy Bombardment. As far as we are aware, besides life, the biggest thing that distinguishes the Earth from other planets in our solar system is the presence of plenteous amounts of water in all its states of matter. Water molecules have been found in nebulae in distant reaches of the galaxy, so water itself isn't uncommon in the universe. Perhaps we were so bombarded with water bombs brought to us on the back of comets that it simply topped up our original supply? But I am still not convinced. According to news.harvard.edu, and all credits to Alec Brenner of the Harvard University for this, Earth may have been a water world 3 billion years ago. In this publication they say, calculations show that Earth's oceans may have been 1 to 2 times bigger than previously thought and the planet may have been completely covered in water. According to a new, Harvard-led study, geochemical calculations about the interior of the planet's water storage capacity suggests Earth's primordial ocean 3 to 4 billion years ago may have been 1 to 2 times larger than it is today, and possibly covered the planet's entire surface. They go on to say it depends on the conditions and parameters we look at in the model, such as the height and distribution of the continents, but the primordial ocean could have flooded more than 70, 80, and even 90% of the early continents, said Junjie Dong, a PhD student in Earth and Planetary Sciences at the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, who led the study. Dong goes on to inform us in the extreme scenarios, if we have an ocean that is 2 times larger than the amount of water we have today, that might have completely flooded the land masses we had on the surface of the early Earth. Dong continues, in the geology community, biology community, and even in the astronomy community, they are all interested in the origins of life, and water is one of the most important key elements that has to be considered. The publication continued researchers were not looking for signs of liquid water, but its chemical equivalent, oxygen and hydrogen atoms, which bond to the interior of the planet. They compiled all the data in the scientific literature they could find on minerals that hold these signs and used the figures to calculate how much water there could be in the Earth's mantle, which makes up the bulk of the planet's interior. That number is referred to as the planet's mantle water storage capacity. It changes as the interior of the planet continues to cool. The group calculated what that number could be today and how much could have been stored a few billion years ago to see how the number had changed. The capacity back then was significantly less. Scientists then compared those numbers to geochemical estimates of how much water is in the mantle today. Analysis found that the actual water content today is likely higher than the maximum water capacity of the mantle a few billion years ago, meaning the water today wouldn't have been able to fit in the mantle billions of years ago. This suggests the water was someplace else, on the world's surface. According to the researchers' calculations, the amount of water that could have gone down into the Earth's mantle could potentially be as much as all the present-day oceans combined. Rebecca Fisher and Claire Booth-Luce, assistant professors of Earth and Planetary Sciences and the study's other lead authors state there has been water falling into the Earth's interior over time, which makes sense because with plate tectonics you have some of the plates on the Earth's surface that subduct and go down into the interior and bring water down with them. There's not really anywhere that water could come from besides the oceans on the surface, so that implies that the oceans had to have been larger in the past. The study isn't the first to suggest Earth could have been a water world, but the researchers believe it to be the first offering quantitative evidence based on the water storage capacity of the mantle. Evidence seems to point out that early Mars had a significant amount of water on its surface. We want to investigate whether that surface water had some relations with the water that could possibly have been stored in its interior. Planet Mars possibly storing water in its mantle or interior would be a monster colossus find. Might it suggest that in its younger days there may have been life? Mars, the planet, today, is no place for the faint-hearted. Its orbit is the 4th closest to our Sun and has a staying power owing to the gravitational pull of the Sun. Mars is one of Earth's 2 closest planetary neighbors, Venus being the other. If you look up in the night sky, Mars is one of the easiest planets to spot. It looks like a bright red point of light. In my personal opinion, for what it's worth, the thought of life coming to Earth via a comet or such rather than our life, our DNA, actually beginning on Earth would suggest that life does in fact, or at least, may, possibly, exist on other planets or again, at least it may have at some stage. And so whether Earth is a standalone in the universe as a life force or whether those building blocks and water came from the great beyond, brought to us by comets and such, we must now consider if the world was indeed a water world, but the building blocks of life were deposited on Earth by comets crashing into our newly formed planet. Did those extraterrestrial lives have souls? Do we have soul sisters and soul brothers on some near or faraway planet? Did they build great cities and look up at their sky? When our flesh dies, and our souls move on, do they go to the same heaven as all other interplanetary souls? This is the end of Chapter 8. Thank you for watching, but before you hop on over to Chapter 9, do the kid a favor and please hit that subscribe button, like and share. I'll see you in the next chapter.